Part of speech verbs. In the previous video we have talked about the nouns. Now, let's talk about verbs. What is a verb? Simply put, a verb can be defined as a word that expresses an action or a state of being. Most verbs provide key information about the subject of a sentence and are central to the sentence's predicate. Verb examples, describing action. Some verbs describe what action is being performed by the subject of the sentence. She ironed her dress. The action is ironing. He drove to the mountains. The action is driving. Verb examples, describing state of being. She feels tired. The state of being is feeling tired. He prefers coffee. The state of being is preferring coffee. What is a verb? 6 types. While all verbs express action or describe a state of being, there are not just 2 types of verbs. Explore 6 key verb types to further expand your knowledge of this all-important part of speech. 1. Action verbs. Most verbs are action verbs. As the name indicates, these verbs describe actions. They describe things a person can do or demonstrate. There are many examples of action verbs. To accept, she accepted the job offer. To ask, she asked to borrow a pencil. To bake, Elizabeth baked a carrot cake. To sing, he sings in the choir. Action verbs can be either transitive or intransitive. 2. Transitive verbs. Sounds technical and tricky, right? Fear not. Transitive verbs simply express an action. The only thing to note with this category of verbs is that they're always followed by a direct object, which is someone or something that's receiving the action of the verb. With transitive verbs, an object is required. Sentences with transitive verbs follow the pattern subject, verb, direct object. Examples. Nizar drove the car. Aileen wrote a poem. Joshua ate the noodles. Sarah cleaned the kitchen. 3. Intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs are also verbs that show action. Unlike transitive verbs, they are ones that are not followed by a direct object. The plane lands at 5 o'clock. I arrived at the coffee shop. Some verbs can be either transitive or intransitive. The type depends on how the verb is used in a sentence. 4. Linking verbs. Linking verbs do not express action. Rather, they connect the subject to the additional information that's about to come. In other words, they link the subject to details about the subject. Various forms of the verb to be are linking verbs, including verbs like am, is, are, and were. There are many additional examples of linking verbs. I am Jennifer. The car was here. We were exhausted after the trip. Some words, such as smell, look or appear, can be used as linking verbs or action verbs. With these words, it's important to consider the function the verb is performing in the sentence in order to identify the type. 5. Helping verbs. Helping verbs do exactly what it seems like they should do. They help. That is, they help the main verb of the sentence by extending its meaning. They are used in cases where the linking verb on its own is not sufficient to form a complete thought or sentence. Examples. I have been there before. I am walking to the store. He will run for president. 6. Stative verbs. Stative verbs are more difficult to identify as verbs. They describe a position or state of being. They have no duration, no beginning and no end. Examples. You deserve a prize. Jane dislikes humidity.